Hey guys, I've been thinking, what's Curt Bisquera been up to? He's a first call session drummer in one of the most difficult scenes to break into in the entire world, the LA session scene. Let's check in with him.
The man, the myth, the freaking legend, Curt Bisquera. Super excited to have him on here. He's got insight into the industry that many of us will never ever understand. I mean, he's just the freaking... He's the dude. He really is. He's the dude. Right? Oh, there he is.
If I was the dude, that would make you like what? The king.
Oh, please. Oh, shut up. No.
Hey man, I'm setting up a like a vibe so we could talk.
Nice.
Is this too loud?
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Louder?
Oh yeah. There we go.
That's cool.
Yeah. We'll just sit here for a second.
This is a shameless plug. This is my Yurt Rock loops from
Nice.
Yurt Rock.
Yeah.
So this is one of them. So I was like, you know what, man? I'm going to do something different and add some grooves.
Dude, you know what? That'll be the next level thing that they're going to start adding in like a playback for Insta Live stuff. This is perfect. This is great, man.
Cool. And what's dope is that I could like control the tempo, man. We could go like midnight mix shit, you know.
Yeah. That's so sick. Well, so how did you meet Ryan?
Ryan, oh my God. Ryan, when he moved to LA, God, this was forever ago.
Yeah.
And he'd hit me up to see if I do drum lessons. I was like, no, dude, I don't give lessons, but one of my teachers lives right around the corner from me, Joe Picaro. I gave him Joe's number, but then I don't know if he followed through with that or whatever. So then fast forward, I don't know, 10, 12 years, and then sorry, man. Sometimes tempos get the best of me. Sorry. Especially when I'm trying to think. Okay, so like 10, 12 years ago, fast forward 10, 12 years to now, he had hit me up. He was working for Native Instruments.
Yeah.
And he came up with his loop thing there, Loop Loft, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he started his thing called Yurt Rock, and hit me up and said, "Hey man, do you want to do a loop thingy, a loop a loop pack?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
So I did it, and it's one of the biggest sellers. No, I don't know. I have no idea, but I hope it's a big seller. I hope people use it. You know, and I did it with just like super work beats. You know, it's like there's every kind of beat you could imagine to just write a song to. Nothing fancy, you know, just work stuff that you could actually use on a song.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say the weird stuff will be in volume 2.
So yeah, I mean, I met him. I guess it must have been maybe 6 months ago.
Okay.
And we were filming this thing for Melodics, which is this really cool new lessons website. It's basically like it's an app, but like it breaks down like really famous songs to like the bare bones. Like, so like one of the songs I did was Sissy Strut from, of course, the legendary Meters. And it's like, I thought I had a decent handle on it. You know, I was like, because like I know Dennis Chambers, he plays it one-handed, and I'm just not on that level. So I was like, well, I know I got the two-hand thing down because Stanton was like, this is how it's played. I was like, okay. And then I broke that down, and I was like, there was like this little kick. There was like these 2 16th notes that I was not getting. That I was like, oh, okay, that's really interesting because I've been playing it wrong for, 15 years. But yeah, it's a cool little site. But I knew he was doing stuff with you. And then like I remember getting hip to Loop Loft because there was this really cool ad that I think is still up on YouTube featuring Matt Chamberlain, who's a monster, you know.
The big MC.
Yeah. Well, and so I've been hip to you forever. I never told you this because we've chatted before. I actually wrote to you when I was maybe 14, 15.
Wow, really?
And yeah, I said, "Hi, my name's Ben. I'm Mr. Bisquera. I'm really a big fan of yours." And you could not have been nicer. You actually sent me back a signed photo, and it was I mean,
Dude, I remember that. That was eons ago.
yeah. Like it was. I mean, it had to have been an old photo because it was back in the Zildjian days.
Oh yeah.
And I remember going like, "Wow, he didn't have to do that." But yeah, it's my mom actually has it somewhere. It's in storage right now. She's actually about to move out here, so I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, find it and throw darts at it.
Well,
No, my fear was my next question I was going to ask you about that was I a dick?
no,
I don't remember because it was just like,
no, and that was the thing. Like you absolutely could have been, and you weren't. You were nothing but nice. Like you. I think I had a couple questions about the industry, and this is before YouTube really was like a thing. And long before like all the podcasts that you've done has popped up. It's interesting because it's like you have such an insight into the industry that I only have friends that have gotten into like that thing, but like I myself have never gotten anywhere near. And it's fascinating because LA terrifies me, dude. Like it really truly like it scares me to death. When my wife and I were first considering like where to move from Oklahoma, I was like, man, maybe LA, maybe New York. And I realized like I don't have a thick enough skin to go out there, bro. Because I was like young when I went out there. But you went out there when you were 18. But you kind of grew up on the West Coast. You're a Cali dude anyways, right? So
born and raised, Santa
Wow.
Maria, California. Where I grew up, it's a small town, Santa Maria, just an hour north of Santa Barbara. But because it's a small town, there were only an X amount of places to play at.
Mm-hmm.
And a few, I could count on one hand, drum teachers or, music teachers, guitar, drums, piano, I think.
Yeah.
And my mom was a musician. But, so I started gigging in clubs when I was 11
Jeez.
with my mom and my uncle. But growing up in a small town like that, you become, I always hated this term, but it's the best analogy is like you become a really big fish in a small pond and you realize, shit, I got to go somewhere else where it's like, I'm going to learn, where I'm going to actually get my ass beat down, musically, sometimes physically. Actually, no, I never got beat down here, thank God. But, I will tell you this total side note. The first night I moved into my apartment in Hollywood, I stepped over a dead body, dude, right? I thought it was a homeless dude on the stoop of my apartment. Only to find out when I got my suitcases up to the room, I looked down and I saw flashing lights. Dude, it was a coroner truck hauling the body away. And I was like, oh my God, I just stepped over a freaking dead body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he OD or?
I don't know. It was just a dead body there, and I had no idea.
Dang.
But I'm a small country bumpkin from Santa Maria, man, and that was my first introduction to welcome to Hollywood.
This town will kill you. Yeah. Well, and so because I got accepted to Berkeley right out of high school, and I had a full-on panic attack like a month before I was supposed to go. And I'm super glad I didn't go because I feel like Boston would have ate me alive, man. Like I had a lot of growing up to do and maturing mentally, just the whole thing. But like you've done several podcasts where you've talked about kind of being taken under the wing of the late great Jeff Porcaro, knowing his father Joe and the whole family, and you got to see. Honestly, like the tail end of like the golden age.
I definitely got in on the caboose of the train of the actual studio, LA studio scene. I got in 1990. I started doing sessions, but 1990 was like the last decade of record labels, super big budgets.
Yeah.
order whatever you want, steak and lobster, surf and turf.
Frick, that must have been sweet.
Just let's take a week to get a tom sound. That was the golden years. And from what I understand, the guys that did sessions in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was even better than that. I mean, when I talked to Jeff and, all the guys from the band Toto, for example, they were killing it. And their dad, Joe, who was my instructor, and his partner in crime, Emil Richards, these guys would get up, do a cartoon in the morning, a record date in the afternoon.
Jeez.
A commercial late afternoon, go home, shower, eat, see the family, hug, kiss the kids, and then go either do a late recording date or play live. On and on and on for, as long as they were doing it, 2 decades, easily 20 plus years of like hardcore recording studio drum and percussion. And they all became like, I'll say it, millionaires. I mean, think about all the TV and film that those dudes played on. Just TV and film, like those special payment checks are crazy. Like, here's one check. Let's go buy a house in Maui.
Yeah, man, dude. I don't like know him, but like Sean Pelton is another huge influence of mine. And like, dude, I've heard freaking some stories about that freaking sweet 3-decade primetime money that he's making, man. And I'm like, there were cats that did that you never even freaking saw. Like that was the thing is like, from everything I've heard from you and other people that have ever just sort of experienced like Jeff's persona, like just got to be in his presence and just be there. He was like the humblest cat, but he was always like the coolest dude in the room.
Well, here's how cool he was. During the period of when he was alive, look at all the drummers that bought round pink glasses. I was one of them.
Wow.
Dude, Vinny Colaiuta had them. Craig Cramp. I mean, shit, everyone wore those glasses, man. Because let's face it, man, Jeff Porcaro was a cool mofo. He was really cool, man. And, a lot of cats that I know that are in the funk and R&B scene out here in L.A., they hired Jeff because he had the groove, man, and it was undeniable. And so, that's why he played on a lot of Cheryl Lynn records and Michael Jackson, and, because he had groove.
Yeah.
And then he had Toto.
Yeah.
And he had, just go down the list, man, Steely Dan. And so I always read his name on records and just loved everything he did. And I was like, man, I want to meet that guy one day and I want to be like him. And then one day I opened up Modern Drummer magazine and there's a picture of Joe Porcaro and Ralph Humphrey saying, you could learn from these guys. I was like, oh shit, I'm so not going to college. I'm going to the Musicians Institute.
Dude, no, and like the thing is also like I even considered going to PIT myself, but then I was like, it's in LA and they'll kill me out there. But it's I remember seeing like old ads in Modern Drummer and it's like, like Joe Porcaro, like I have that video of yours somewhere where you the one you did with Drum Channel.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, and like I remember that, that little section of you and Joe Porcaro trading floors, and he's like, he had to have been what, 70, 80 at the time?
He was God, I want to say he was in his 70s.
I mean, just as smooth and subtle as ever.
No, he was my wife's drummer, my wife's a jazz singer, and when she gigged, it was Joe P on drums always. Wow. And if Joe couldn't do it, then there was no drummer. Because she's like, your ass ain't playing with me, Mom. You're no playing ass. It's not playing with me. So if Joe can't do it, then
no. That's funny, dude. Well, I mean, anybody who really knows your career and like has really like done any kind of research knows you played with such an insane list of everyone from going down the list: Morris Day, Elton John, Mick Jagger, Seal, Sarah McLachlan. I mean, you could just go down the freaking list. You know that I know the story of how you got the Morris Day gig. Just give us like the minute and a half version of that for all the people that have not listened to that story before.
All right. So for those who know this story, here's a good time to go get a snack or go to the bathroom or whatever. Okay, so I'm still a student at Musicians Institute, PIT.
Wow.
1985 was the year, I think, did Purple Rain come out in 84?
I think so. I think.
Okay, so yeah, I think Purple Rain came out in 84. So Prince, Purple Rain, Minneapolis was hot. It was the music to play, to listen to be a part of. So me being a fan of the Minneapolis sound and all the bands, and especially at the time, I'd found out when I was going to school and I was going around down the hallway, because everyone talks. Hey man, remember the funny guy that sang in the band called The Time in the movie Purple Rain? He's auditioning drummers today.
Jeez.
It's like, where? He's like, oh, down the street at SIR. And I was like, I gotta go.
Was it a full-blown cattle call?
Full-blown cattle call. There were 50
Wow.
some odd drummers. And I was the last guy because I was the one. I found out late, like 3 p.m, and they were only auditioning, I think, till 5. So I think it went from 12 to 5 or something like that. But I just found out because the rumor was going down the hallways. Yeah, man, Morris Day is auditioning drummers. So I was like, I got to go to that freaking audition, whether I get it or not, or just to be around it and just see,
Sure.
So I go down to SIR, and in typical me fashion, I forget my sticks. So I forgot my sticks, and I'm standing in line, and there's a line of drummers, and there was some ridiculous super pro drummers that we all read about in the magazine. I won't mention any names, but they were there. And then there was me. And the musical director, who's the bass player still with Morris Day in the time, Ricky Free Smith, he was holding the audition. And I saw him with the pen and paper and the board, okay, drummer number 17, or drummer number 43, because there was a ton of dudes there. So everyone's standing in line, and I go up to him and I was like, man, is there any way I could audition? All green and excited,
Yeah.
Is there any way I could audition for Morris Day? He's like, what's your name? And I told him my name. He goes, I never heard of you, but all right, get in line. Are you cool? Can you hang out? You could be the last guy. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to go in and play. So the guy before me, the second to the last guy, I was the last guy. He had a pair of sticks, only a pair of sticks. I'm like, dude, when you're done, can I have your sticks? Because I forgot mine. Can I use your sticks? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And so he played, and then he comes out, hands me his sticks, and dude, they were like freaking like a beaver, just like just attack these sticks, like ready to break, man. I swear to God. And I thought, okay, maybe he did this on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they were jacked. These sticks were so effed up. So I go in with these jack sticks. I'm like, hi, I'm Curt Bisquera. Free said, okay, we're gonna audition on 2 songs: "The Bird," which was in the movie Purple Rain, and another song called "Jungle Love," which is
Yeah.
And he goes, "Do you know those songs?" I said, "Absolutely, I know them." He goes, "All right." So he started playing "The Bird," and it was just him on a Juno. Was it a Juno 106? And he was playing synth bass on the left hand, keyboard parts and horns on another.
Dang.
Like Freeze is like ridiculous, man. This dude is, I mean, he wrote and produced so many songs for Solar Records, for the group Dynasty. And I mean, you should interview him. He's an amazing musician, one of my mentors. Anyway, so we play the Bird, and that's going down, playing the Bird. And I see in the back, where it's really dark, this dude bobbing his head like this when I'm playing. I was like, oh shit, that's Morris Day back there.
Oh man.
He's sitting on the couch and he's by himself. He's just sitting there listening to me play. And then Freeze goes, okay, cool. All right, now we're going to play Jungle Love. So, you know, ooh, ah,
yeah.
You know, so we're playing that. You know, we start grooving on that. And then again, I see this head bobbing like this. I was like, okay, maybe he's into it. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just being polite and, you know, letting everyone know he's giving it up or whatever. So then Freeze goes, okay, thank you, man. We'll get back to you. I was like, okay, cool. And he goes, well, do you know any other songs by the time? And I was like, I do. He goes, what do you know? And I was like, 777-9311.
Dang.
And he's like, no. He goes, get out of here. You don't know that. I was like, yeah, man. Let's bust it. And he goes, all right. So I counted off, and I started playing the groove to 777-9311, and Freeze is playing keyboards doing that. And then I see Morris in the dark on the edge of the couch doing that. I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. This is a good sign. Then, you know, we were jamming on that for a while, and then finally we stop. And then Morris stands up and he goes, you want a job? And I said, yes. And that's the beginning of my career.
I know this sounds weird, but what were you wearing versus what they were wearing? Because there's no way you walked in with the suit and the, you know.
No. I was just in street clothes. I think I had just a shirt on and jeans, you know, just.
You played with them up to like what, 90?
From 85 to 1990, yeah. Off and on. It wasn't consistent for those 5 years, but, you know, Morris would do a tour and then be off. Record, another new record, tour that record, you know. It was, let's see, The Color of Success, which is the tour that I first started with. Mm-hmm. And after that, it was Daydreamin'. And then I think those were the two records between that 5 year period.
Now, I mean, I know during that time, that was kind of like your real introduction to the studio, because now you had a gig that could place a name with the face, because that was your first real touring gig, correct?
That was my first professional Los Angeles thing ever. That essentially, I mean, it's the kind of thing that we all move to Los Angeles or Chicago or New York for. It's like, I'm going to move to the big city and make it famous. And I can honestly say, like, that shit happened to me.
Jeez, that's so freaking cool.
Thank you to Morris Day. I'm always just so grateful for him. You know, had he not said yes to me, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. So he was the one that hired me.
And the raddest thing about that story to me is that you got that gig on your own steam. It wasn't who you knew. It wasn't any of this other stuff. It was literally, I can freaking lay it down when it matters. I can do this. And then you came in ready to go. Like it wasn't the fact that, you know, that you knew the Picaros or that you were a PIT, or it was just, you came in, you were like, look, can I get in? Like, I love that, like, boldness you had, man. If it would have been me, I wouldn't have given you the sticks, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, you're one of those cats. All right. Dig it.
Okay. Oh, I did have one question. Go. Did they just tell you straight up, like, here's what it pays? Did you have an idea at the time what gigs on that level paid?
No, it was like, okay, you're hired. We start rehearsals next week. I was like, oh shit, I still have 2 months to go on in school before I graduate.
Oh wow, okay.
So I go to my counselor, the great Maria Martinez. Hi, Maria, if you're watching. If not, I love you. She was responsible for sending me out of the nest to fly. I told Maria, I was like, Maria, I was so excited. I went back to school and I saw Maria and I was like, Maria, she was my counselor. I was like, Maria, I got the Morris Day gig. I don't know what to do because rehearsals start next week. And she's like, well, tomorrow, be in my office tomorrow. So I show up and she's like, we got to test you so you can get the hell out of here. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you can't stay here and graduate.
Yeah.
You got to go. You came to LA to do exactly what happened to you. You got a gig with Morris Day and the Time. So she tested me on my fourth quarter exams. So it was hand percussion, drums, odd meter. It was, the whole gambit of everything that we learned through that whole year. And then there was some things I fucked up. I'm not going to lie. But she's like, screw that, man. She's like, you're going to play Wawanko sometime in your future.
Yeah.
But she passed me and I got my certificate. But then I was able to go to my graduation, which was really cool. That was really cool. Because we weren't rehearsing that day. And so I was able to go to my graduation, get my certificate for real, and, see all my classmates and stuff. And yeah, man, it was so surreal.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that brings me to my next question. The pay thing, did they just straight up just tell you what it paid? Or did you get to negotiate at all?
No. Well, no, because I was the first one hired, and then after that, my dear friend Greg Arreguin was hired on guitar, and so once they found the drummer, then we started auditioning all the other elements of the band. Guitar, bass, keyboard players, that whole thing. So it wasn't until the band got solidified, and then management came in and said, "Okay, here's what you're going to be making." And back then, it was $1,500 a week.
Well, I mean, when you adjust for inflation, that's solid money.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. At 19 years old, shit, I was like, I was a man. Fit in. A week, bro. Come on.
I mean, what kind of drums were you playing at the time? I mean, did Morris say, like, because he's a drummer too, and a really good one.
Oh my God, he's an amazing drummer. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
At the time, the drums.
Were you rocking Recording Customs?
Well, those were the drums I bought for my own purposes, for my own personal kit. But the kit that he had that he wanted me to play, he wanted me to do a hybrid kit of a Pearl kick drum, Pearl snare drum, and Simmons toms, because Simmons were all the rage back then.
Yeah.
So, that was my kit. But I did have to rock the Picaro rack, though. So I had my Picaro rack with the Simmons, Zildjian cymbals, because I was using Zildjians at the time.
Sure.
And then the Pearl kick and snare.
That is such an 80s kit, and I love it.
So 80s, bro. But, and in typical fashion of the 80s and that whole electronic thing, man, it was just like, those things were a disaster. Mistriggering, misfiring, and I don't miss those days at all.
Plus, another thing is, because I've only gotten to play on them one time. My mentor growing up in Tulsa was this dude named Arthur Thompson. He's got the coldest go-go, like bell block thing I've ever heard. He's sick with it. I would tech for him, and that's kind of how I would learn. He had me set up those freaking Simmons pads, and I hit one once. It was like hitting a brick. I thought there was give. Oh, that's right. So Tori, who I guess still plays with Morris, he used to play.
Tori Ruffin, yeah.
He used to play in my hometown with this band called the Full Flavor Kings.
Oh, I think Tori told me about that. I was just talking to Tori the other day.
Yeah, like, and they were like the time of Tulsa when I was coming up. Like they had like a residency at this club, and they were bad at the bone. But yeah, I heard Tori play. I got to play with him, I think, once, and he was unbelievable.
Tori's ridiculous. Tori's been with Morris now 25 plus years. Yeah, Juice Maker Lounge. I think 25 plus years. So, I mean, Jesse Johnson was with him not even 5. So Tori is the quintessential Morris Day and the Time guitar player. He's the dude.
So not every gig has been audition based. Some gigs you've just gotten. Can you share some stories like that?
Well, yeah. Okay. So Elton, I was already working on his record. I was doing sessions. You know the Disney movie Road to El Dorado that he.
I love that. I have that movie in my room right now.
Yeah, that's me on drums.
No kidding. On the trail we blaze. Yeah.
So when we were doing that record, that was with Pat Leonard, and so Pat was producing, and then Elton came in, and he was doing vocals and stuff like that, and just hanging out, and he really took a liking to my playing, and I think it was his manager hit me up and said, "Hey, Elton would love you to join the band. Would you be into joining the band? And it'll be double drummers with Nigel Olsson." I'm like,
okay, because I was about to ask, had Nigel left or
Nigel took a break for some personal stuff. I don't know what, but he took a break, and he wasn't playing drums for a while. That's why they had Sugarfoot playing for a while, and I think I can't think of the other drummers that played with Elton. But anyway, so Nigel was coming back, but he wasn't up to strength. So Elton wanted to bring in another drummer to just help balance it out. He'll play a few, I'll play a few, and we'll do it together and stuff. To me, the only thing I'm thinking about is, shit, I get to play double drums with Nigel Olsson.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about. And so yeah, that's how it came about. His manager asked me to join the band, and unfortunately, it was supposed to be something that was going to be forever, or what I thought was going to be forever. But during that time when I joined the band, Elton was going through a really intense lawsuit with his ex-manager. And it was just, it was huge. Like gajillions of dollars were being lost. He got robbed by his ex-manager.
Oh, wow.
Essentially. So I get this handwritten note from Elton saying, "Hey, Curt, this is Elton. I just want to say thank you so much. I love your drumming, and I hope we get to work in the future. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to pare the band down because of this situation I'm going through. And, it's just not cohesive to what needs to happen right now. I got to cut everything back. My flower budget, my outfit budget, seriously, that's what needed to happen." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand." And, God, that was 22 years ago. But it seems like yesterday, because it was one of the highlights of my career is to play with Elton. Because he's Elton John, man. Look at all those songs he's written.
What year was this?
2000.
Okay, so did you get to play like songs from The Lion King too?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. For some reason, I thought it was like earlier in the 90s, but even still, you still would have played those songs because El Dorado was far after The Lion King.
Right.
Wow. Unreal. Is that the only gig you've ever done that it was double drums?
Well, aside from my group that I have with Satnam Mangrotra and
Galactic Booty Co.
Galactic Booty Co. Yes. Which is so dope too, because the band Galactic, that's I love that band because we never rehearse, and we just call amazing bass players and keyboard players, and we say, "Okay, show up at the Big Potato," and we're playing 2.5 sets and play what you want. And yeah, so that's fun. But with Elton, playing with Nigel, man, that's the whole time I'm looking over going, shit, that's Nigel Olsson right there. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I'm playing in front of 20,000 people, and Elton John sitting in front of me. Yeah, whatever. But oh my God, that's Nigel. Come on, man.
And what's interesting about Nigel, because it's like, there are guys on his level who had been with an artist. So like Liberty DeVito will always be associated with Billy Joel, regardless of whatever he goes on to do. Yeah. Nigel, in my mind, he's almost like Elton John is almost like a band, because I can't hear Elton John without picturing Nigel behind him. You know what I mean?
Because those records were recorded with Nigel, and if you listen to those big, spacious fills, those iconic feel behind Elton, you know, I could sit there and try to emulate that all day long, but just call the real, genuine article, man. Call Nigel. He's the man.
Well, and you know, that's one of the things I really respect about you, is that you're not above saying like, yo, I'm not the guy for this. Like, you need to, because I know you've mentioned that in the past where you got called for something and you're like, no, that's.
No, man, I learned that from Jeff Porcaro, man. He'd always say, yeah, man, you tell me these stories. And he'd go, yeah, Kirkee B, man, these cats, they want me to come in and play like Vinny, man. Or they want me to come in and lay down some you know, folk shit, you know, but I'm not that cat.
Yeah.
So I just have him call Keltner.
Yeah, yeah.
And I learned that from Jeff, and he's like, man, don't ever try to do something you know you're not good at. And I thought, okay, if he's saying that, then there's truth to that. And I always took that to heart. You know, there are those occasions where you're like, shit, I could pull this off. I could do this. So I'm not even going to trip on it. I'll do it. And if they don't dig it, then they could call Keltner. You should just call Keltner anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that's so crazy also about like just LA and like this time that you're discussing is that, and I want you to hear my heart on this one. Nashville, the heaviest cats in Nashville aren't even close to the heaviest guys in LA as far as what they've done. You know, like, and I'm not trying to rag on Nashville. It's just the heaviest dudes that like Nashville ever produced, they're all retired and done.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys in LA are still doing it. Obviously, like your guys, like your generation, but also the guys before you, like the Vinnies who are still freaking doing it. You know, the Maradas in New York and the Gads and wherever he's at. You know what I mean? Like in Nashville, there is an expiration date for a lot of those guys. Where it's like past a certain point, they're like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to chill. And like, whereas in LA, it doesn't seem like there's much of like a stop.
Yeah, you know, and I honestly think that has to do with lifestyle. And I'll paint this picture about that. The lifestyle out here is sunshine 24/7, 365 days a week. There's no other place in the world that you can go surfing, skateboarding, snowboarding, go on a lake and wakeboard in one day.
Yeah, yeah.
You could do winter and summer sports in the same day. Okay, so that's that kind of lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Hollywood, which is a churning machine. It does not stop for anyone or anything, you know. So I think that has a lot to do with why we as musicians out here in LA just keep going, because there's always something to do, always something to record or to be a part of or to perform. You know, and so many people come here, brand new people every day, brand new artists every day, brand new singers, songwriters, producers, and they come here to get at their dream, you know, to get at it and make it come true. And I see why. I mean, God, it's been going on since Tinseltown, you know, since the turn of the century,
right?
Silent movies to talking movies and that whole thing. So I think that's the big attraction, you know. And I think in Nashville, you got all those amazing players. And like you said, you know, at some point, they're just like, okay, I'm good. Go on my big ass 5-acre house, barbecue, hang out. Whereas like here, we're like, okay, we're in our apartment. What gig do we have tomorrow? You know? So again, it's a balance, you know, and it's a lifestyle thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I have a lot of other questions, but I've always wanted to ask you this because I was a huge fan of skateboarding growing up. I mean, I still love skateboarding, but once I realized I could really hurt myself, I transitioned to longboarding because I was like,
you can still get hurt.
Oh yeah, but I'm not bombing any hills. But like, gosh, it must have been maybe 6 years ago. I was on tour and we had a layover in Baltimore, and I look over and I'm like, I see a dude with a skateboard on his backpack. I'm like, oh, that's cool, freaking skateboard. And then he turns around, and I'm like, no, it was Jamie Thomas. And I was like, because like, dude, I have goosebumps because like 13-year-old me had a whole cork board with Jamie Thomas cut out. He was my guy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, he was, he was obviously Toy Machine, but like Zero and Freak. I mean, he was the dude. And I walked up, I was like, man, are you Jamie Thomas? He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, 13-year-old me is freaking out right now. He's like,
it's insane.
He's like, do you still ride? I was like, look at me. No, I don't freaking ride. I said, no, I'm a musician, but I mean, I'm still a huge fan of the industry, and you were my guy, and I got a photo. He could not have been nicer. But yeah, I wanted to ask because I mean, obviously, like growing up in California, it would not have been hard to be on a skateboard. But who were your guys? Were you into like the Dogtown and Z-Boys guys, or was it more like
Dogtown and Z-Boys all the way? Because when I started skating, it was 77.
Okay, yeah.
So DT was already in full flow right there, man, and they brought the whole pool skating thing to the limelight, and so yeah, TA, Jay, Shogo, Red Dog, all those guys. Those are my heroes, man. I thanked them on the Bisquera Brothers record. I listed the whole Z-Boys team.
That's so rad. I love that.
Thank them.
Well, and it's crazy also because it's like, now there's other stuff I'm into. Like I love history and I love watching movies and stuff like that. But man, I'll still, me and my buddy who lives in Germany, we'll still send each other clips of just like these little 12, 13-year-old rippers. I mean, just unbelievable. Like their AMs are better than the pros were.
Well, now that I know this, I'm going to start sending you clips because I'm on a.
Yes, please do.
I'm on a loop with a bunch of other musicians that used to skate, so I'll
keep
them in the loop. Yeah, because you send all kinds of crazy stuff, like Hollywood High in Hollywood.
Of course,
it's like one of the big spots where I want to say it's like there's 15 steps and a rail.
Yeah. It's well, isn't there two sets at the Hollywood High?
I think so.
There's a smaller one and a bigger one.
Right. Guess what's right across the street? MI.
No way, really?
Yeah, so I'm curious if like there's any skaters that go to MI and they're like, okay, I'm done with bass theory now. Let me go freaking skate rails.
I mean, those two worlds had to have clashed at some point, but that's wild though. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I remember seeing the legendary spots, and of course, dude, I still have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Like I remember seeing like the is it Malibu? That the one that had all the graffiti, like the whole concrete area was covered in graffiti. Dang, it's gonna bug me.
Was it a ditch?
No. It wasn't a ditch. I know that spot you're talking about too, but no, this one, it was like it was like picnic tables, but everything was cement and everything was completely covered in graffiti.
Oh, was that Venice?
Venice, there we go. Venice. Yeah. Which I guess yes, I guess it's no longer there, but like I guess they might have cleaned it up or something. But yeah, I remember seeing like spots like that. I'm like, wow, like the freaking the high school that had like the leap of faith that Jamie Thomas bombed, and dude, I still love skateboarding. Like there's always going to be a special place in my heart, and like I love listening to those 9 Club podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good, dude. Like I listened to all 5 hours of the Mike V one.
Oh, dude, I love Mike V.
Dude, yeah.
Man, who I love watching skate is I can't think of his name. The Brazilian dude.
Which one?
Yeah, right.
Because obviously,
I can't think of his name. He at the Vans, the indoor pool in Orange.
Mm-hmm.
He freaking gapped the freaking Duncan. That part that juts out of the pool.
Yeah.
He went from one side, hauled ass, jumped it, and landed on the other side in the round part of the bowl.
Jeez.
Pedro Barros. Thank you.
Okay, gotcha.
Pedro
Gotcha.
Barrel's insane. I love watching him.
Oh man. Well, and it's just like, some of the best advice I ever got. And honestly, I don't remember who gave it, but they were basically saying like it's always going to be a good idea to have something other than music that you're into. Like I love movies, I love history.
Yeah.
I love watching like skateboarding. Dude, lately I've been going down the rabbit hole of like old videos. Like the old Toy Machine stuff, the original Plan B.
Yeah.
With those old videos with like the Gons and everything like that, like cats that are now iconic. Like, I mean, obviously Jamie Thomas is a legend, but the Gons is like another level. You know what I mean? Like maybe he wasn't as like doing the biggest things, but like he's just an icon. There's guys that are like legends, and then there's icons.
Right.
And circling all back to music, it's like when you decided to kind of transition more to doing session work and kind of being off the road, did it ever get easier to say no to those tour opportunities, or was it just kind of like a blessing to be able to be more choosy?
Well, it was interesting. It's interesting you asked that because I always wanted to do both. Mm-hmm. So I think through my career I was able to have a nice balance of both. Because if there wasn't a tour happening, I could stay home and do sessions. And then when a tour came up, I'd take it because it'd be like, okay, cool. I'll take this 6-7 months out of the year and make some cake and go see friends.
Sure. Well, and like, for me, because I know you and your wife have been together a long time, and it's like, I have kids. Like I'm always fascinated by somebody, say like Josh Freese, who's got like 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
Like how somehow not only is he still like a good dad, but like his kids all freaking like him. Like I know guys that completely like they missed births, they missed everything, and like their kids don't want nothing to do with them. So he's a guy that I would actually love. Like if I ever had an opportunity to chat with him, like, dude, okay, so you, me, same as far as like we want to be like the family thing, and I've always been fascinated by that because he doesn't tour the way Nashville guys do.
Right.
Like Nashville, we can be anywhere within 12 hours, any freaking where.
Right.
Whereas like when he goes, he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
You guys were touring before Skype and FaceTime. Like I don't understand how there wasn't like 1,000 more, percent more divorces for like touring guys just being gone that much.
It definitely takes an understanding on both parts, man. And like any relationship, whether you're married or not, you got to work at it. And
right.
And I'll say, being on the road does not help anything. If anything, it makes it more challenging. And my best advice for that is just, communication, stay open, and know that, okay, I'm going to be freaking gone for 3 months. You're not going to see me for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. So just got to get over that right now. And then we'll just do the best we can. I mean, there have been so many times I missed my wife's birthday or my birthday or my nephew's graduation, or I could name all kinds of things, but it just, it becomes part of your lifestyle. And, face it, we're musicians. It's not a 9 to 5. It's not a regular thing, man.
Yeah.
What we do is not regular. And I think it's hard for people to understand that because, a person who isn't a musician doesn't understand that, oh shit, it's 9 o'clock. I got to get up and get ready to go to the session. Session? What session? Work right now?
Yeah.
Start at 10 at night? But that's our job, right? If someone calls, you got to go show up at the session, or someone calls and says, hey man, can you be on a plane tomorrow? Yes.
Yeah.
What other wife? I see the word relationships. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, Dave DeLome. Yeah, it is the most difficult thing, my brother. Dave DeLome is an amazing, amazing musician. This dude plays guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, sings.
He's trying to make money.
I got to brag on my boy Dave DeLome.
All right.
Dave DeLome not only played with the great Hiram Bullock, but he wrote this piece for was it the Oscars, Dave, a couple of years ago? That was rocking. And my wife and I sat up in bed and went, oh my God, are they playing like metal at the Oscars? And I saw Dave back there with the guitar. Like, stop lying. I ain't lying. No, I'm not lying, dude. He's rocking it back there with his Marshall and his, I think he had his Les Paul or something, and it was just rocking. I was like, this is bonkers. Like at the Oscars, there's metal going on. So I'm texting Dave while he's at the Oscars, dude, what was that? And he sends me the MP3 of it.
Oh, man.
I forgot the name of it. David, I just played it the other day, and it's killing. And then he sends me a Dropbox of all the music he's written, just little ideas and shit. And it's just like, okay, this guy's the next freaking Prince, D'Angelo, George Lynch, Eddie Van Halen. It's Anyway, sorry, I had to go on a Dave Delum.
No, that's great. No, I had a question. Is J.R. Robinson the one that plays at the Oscars?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's been homie. I can't think of his name right now. The musical director who did the Super Bowl. It's been him and his band. Blackwell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You talking about Black Stone?
Black Stone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been him doing all those. Teddy Campbell.
Oh, dude, man. Dude, he's another cat I just recently connected with, and like, dude, I mean, when I was coming up, there wasn't too many black dudes I saw who could absolutely nail like more like non-urban feels. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And when I heard Teddy, I was like, because I read an interview with him and he was talking about, I was like, yeah, doing the American Idol thing, I really had to country as well. So I had to be hip to like Paul Lime and Eddie Bears. And I remember just being so like blown away because I was trying to get hip to all the different type of stuff. Like I wanted to know who El Negro was, but I also wanted to know Eddie Bears and Paul Lime and Lonnie Wilson and cats that came before. It wasn't just all, the 60s and 70s funk stuff, like knowing Ringo, but also knowing like Louis Bellson, knowing Keltner, but also knowing, Brain, you know what I mean? Like there were so many different cats. I wanted to be as diverse as possible.
Oh my God. I got a funny story about El Negro. So this is late 90s. DW sends me and Abe Laboriel Jr. over to do a drum clinic, and El Negro's on the clinic. And so it's El Negro's time to play his spiel, for the clinic. And me and Abe Jr. are like, oh my God, we're just standing on the hi-hat side, just like pointing at him, going, oh my God, this is insane. He catches eyes with us. He's catching eyes with us going, he sees us laughing at him, like just pointing him out, going, yo, man, you are insane, right? He's laughing along with us while he's playing a drum solo. Man, you guys are crazy, man. You guys are crazy. And he's like playing clave, got, with his left hand or left foot.
Yeah.
Soloing with his right hand and another clave going on with his left. And his kick drum is like doing ostinato shit. And I'm just like, yo, man, this dude is like insane. So...
Yeah, I bought a left foot clave. I bought the Gahate bracket after getting hip to him, and I used it maybe like 2 or 3 times. I was like, it's kind of like tabla, like it is a pursuit that you really have to put time into.
Hey man, I just gotta make a shout out to my boy DOA, Derek.
Yeah.
Me and you. And me and Derek go way back, like right after Morris Day. We joined Shalimar to play with Mickey Free. Circumstantial Evidence and Games. That was 1987,
Okay, so you mentioned being in Shalimar. Did your paths ever cross with Eddie Murphy and his entourage?
Never Eddie Murphy with Shalimar, but I did meet Eddie Murphy. He came to a Morris Day show.
Okay.
When we were in New York. Got to meet him real quick. I think it was the same night I met Mike Tyson too.
Jeez, dude.
Dig that.
Man, and that's another thing is that like, Nashville only recently has had like celebrities live here. You know what I mean? Whereas like LA, it's always been celebrities, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So like, I mean, do you have any like, oh yeah, and then Liza Minnelli walked up and asked me where the restroom was?
Most recently in 2019, going back to Dave DeLome, we got flown to the south of France. It was Greg Phillingane's band, the GP Experience. Dave was on keyboards, I was on drums, and we got flown to the south of France to go play for Magic Johnson, his wife Cookie, her birthday party, like a cavalcade of stars, and everyone was there. We were the house band, and we played behind like oh my God, I can't think of the names of the Shaka Khan. And we were the opening band for Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh my gosh!
So you imagine a private party like that? That was bonkers, man. That was like absolute bonkers.
Now, was that with Sonny, or is that already with Paris?
Paris.
Okay, gotcha.
AP.
Gotcha. Man, yeah, and see,
he was killing it.
Oh, dude, he's great, and he's another one, man. He seems to keep such a low profile.
Yeah, and he's a bad cat, man. I've known him forever too, man. And one of the best shows I saw him play with was with Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire went out.
Okay.
Oh my God, that was killing. That was killing.
Was Tris still with Chicago at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Walfredo Jr. on percussion.
Dude, I got to catch a clinic with Walfredo playing at Forks maybe a year or so ago. And he was solid, just like super freaking taste. And of course, the Reyes family is like,
forget it.
Dude, I mean, it's like there's a few families like truly like royalty as far as like drums and percussion. You got the Reyes, you got the Escovedo, you got the Porcaro. You know what I mean? Like there aren't many where you have like multi generations that are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet his brother Daniel a few times, and he was just sick with it. Yeah, absolutely sick.
I know, man. Ridiculous.
Jeez. Okay, so one of the other questions I had for you is, when you first got into doing the home studio thing, did you feel like you had to, I guess, like have everything? Like, as far as like, did you have to have 16 mic options, or did you pretty much keep it relatively streamlined? I mean, because you were doing the home studio thing way before, 2020 hit.
Well, because sessions were starting to change so drastically, and studios were closing down, and budgets were getting less and less and less. As the whole session thing started changing like that, Pro Tools really became a big tool in the music making process. So much to the point that they would take a performance, like, let's say, okay, we're going to get Ben Satterley to come and play drums, but we don't like his drum sound. Sounds like doo-doo. So we're going to replace everything that he played with these samples that we like. Mm-hmm. So it was changing to the point where it was like they're just changing your sound, your feel, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this home recording thing, here's what I'm going to offer. I'm going to offer a great sounding drum sound, flat, recorded flat, nothing sexy or beautiful or anything, because I know you're going to F with it anyway. I'm going to send you those. I'm going to send you those stems, and you're going to replace my snare. You're going to replace the kick drum. You're going to replace the toms. You're going to gate them. You're going to EQ. You're going to do whatever you're going to do. And actually, this goes before home sessions. This was happening on regular sessions where I was like, because I came up on 2-inch tape. So it was you get the take from top to bottom. The take from top to bottom. I love you too, DOA. You know I love you. That's my boy. You go, man, listen, you need to interview him because he's an amazing producer. He's produced all the top gospel R&B acts.
Oh, wow.
But he's a funky funky ass bass player. He is, oh my God.
Man.
No, ridiculous. He'll make you cry. I swear to God, D will send me something and I'll play something in the studio. And my wife's like, is that DOA? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, God. I can't say the other word, but yeah. God. And I'm like, I know, that's my boy.
Yeah.
And he's been like that forever. So anyway, man, I love you too, dude.
Dang.
But okay, so getting back to the the studio scene, it was already changing because they moved away from 2-inch tape and got into Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, okay, Kirkee B, come in and play some drums. And I'd be like, all right. And I'd play the tape down and I'd be like, man, that was doo-doo. Let me do another one. And they're like, no, you don't have to do another one. I was like, no, let me do another one. Because that's how I was trained. It's like, okay, I'm going to play top to bottom. So I'd do another one and they're like, okay, we're cool. I go, we're cool? I was rushing on that second verse and then going into the chorus, totally rushing.
Right.
And when it went to the bridge, I was supposed to go to the hi-hat, but I went to the bell of the cymbal instead. And they're like, no, we'll fix it in Pro Tools. And I had a really, really hefty issue with that because I was like, man, now they're just clowning me because now they're not even using the essence of what I do.
Right.
But then one day I was sitting at home and I was thinking about it. And I was like, you know what, man? All right. I'm going to give you 2 takes and that's it. I'm going to go home.
Right.
That's all you deserve because I know you're going to fuck my shit up anyway. So now I just do 2 takes.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I got a cramp. Can't do it anymore. That's it.
Okay. So, and that brings me to my next question. At home, I can understand. Oh, yes. Jesse. Now, Jerome.
You played Morris Day, man. It rubs off on you.
Bro, well, dude, I mean, I never played 77, 93, 11, but I played The Bird and Jungle Love like all the time because it was.
Oh, shit. I can't. Hang on. I'm too nervous. Derek's watching. I'm too nervous to play 77.
No, but that's the thing. Like, growing up in Tulsa, it was Gap Band and
Raymond Calhoun.
Dude, I went to the same high school as those guys. I mean, they graduated 40 years earlier, but yeah, I mean, so do you know what GAP stands for?
No.
So GAP actually is an acronym. It's Greenwood, Archer, Pine. It's these 3 streets that are really important to Tulsa. Specifically on the north. Greenwood, Archer, Pine.
Wow.
Yeah, so GAP was actually an acronym. But yeah, those 3 streets hold a lot of relevance to people from Tulsa, specifically the north side. I went to high school on the north side. I went to Booker T. Washington High School, the same school as those guys. And, honestly, that's one of the freaking reasons why I have such a hard time playing more than like 2 times now is because I would bring everything I had and they would go, could you just, I used to play with this one guy who was from Alabama. He was real slick. He said, man, just give me that pocket, man. Just give me that black. And so when I see guys like, was it Mean Willie Green?
Who played with Gap?
No. It wouldn't have been. Was it? Crap. Who was he? It might have been that he played with the Neville brothers. It was this one guy. He had a full setup, but he never hit a tom ever.
It just looked cool.
It looked cool, and so I was like,
that was like Larry Blackman with Cameo.
Yeah,
he had
same
that big
thing.
ass Tama kit, but he just went all day long, and it was like, okay, that's cool too.
Right. And it's like once I got over like the whole look thing, I'm a bigger dude, and like when I first saw like Abe's setup, I was like, oh, he's using big drums, so it kind of almost makes him look normal size. I was like, that's rad, because like I was playing like maybe like an 18 or a 20, so I started playing slightly bigger drums. But yeah, like I love the look of that, like the old Sugarfoot, the old Ricky Lawson kits. Oh my gosh, they had the coolest look to them. But I'm like, but I never had a tech, so I have to set that crap up by myself. Like I don't want to do that, man. I'm just like, nah, just keep it, keep it simple. Well, and so that brings me to my next question is, when you know that your stuff is going to get sound replaced, what do you put up in your own studio? So like, what's your go-to? Like, I know this sounds good. They know it sounds good, but it might not be what they're wanting ultimately. But you know, what? So like, what's your snare du jour? Like, if you're like, okay, this is the one.
Well, I always try to use drums that I know that will record a nice signal onto the file. It'll have a sharp waveform to it. So if they do decide to replace my snare drum, they can easily line it up with that. So I try to use something mid tune. Like right now, I'm using a Pi, but I got it tuned super low and fat, but it's because it sounds amazing. But I try to record everything flat, so then that way the drums are still resonate and they still sound like drums, and you could do whatever you want to it. You could add samples to it, you could re-EQ it or whatever. It's going to sound good from what I give you on up. Because I do so many sessions that I don't know what the ultimate mix is going to be. Could be like a really hard driving rock mix or super lo-fi or hi-fi or whatever. So everything has to be recorded in a way that it could go any which of those ways without any sort of issue. So my basic setup is a 4-piece kit: 1 up, 1 down, kick, snare, 2 crash cymbals, ride cymbal, a little splash. I just recently set up a little trash hat to the right, and then that's it. So it's 8 tracks of drums: kick, snare, hat, tom 1, tom 2, overhead, left, right, and a room mic.
That's perfect. You know, I've gotten a lot of messages about people that are wanting to start doing home studio stuff, and I told them, I was like, you got to really start with 8 to be like in the game. And then beyond that, you can expand and, like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe add a snare bottom mic or a kick in, kick out, or what, just whatever. You find what works best for, track to track. But I remember seeing that video. I wish DW would bring back that freaking series, man. But they went into people's home studios. They did one with you. They did one with Blair Center. They did one with Uncle Harmon. But yeah, like seeing your kit. I think it was old PDP at the time.
Yeah.
Which I was like, because I've always been a PDP guy. I'm like, oh man, that's so rad. Seeing that, and like, I just love that you already were so plugged in, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but it's a bare bones setup that works so freaking well.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the more drums you set up, there's more sympathetic ring.
Right.
So you have to worry about that, and you don't want that to bleed into the other mics. And then it's just because again, let me go back to my theory here of how I'm thinking, is that you're only sending information at this point. They could give a flying, what you're going to play, unless they want the Ben Satterley sound and feel.
Right.
More than likely, they're going to go, no, let's put him to the grid. Let's quantize him. I don't really dig his kick drum. Let's replace that with my favorite kick drum sample.
Right.
And then now your drum track has become theirs.
Yeah.
When I got that mentality, when I started thinking in those terms, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to give you how I play. The shit's going to be funky, shit's going to be sexy, and it's going to rock. And if you don't dig it, oh, well, then you can chop it up to Kingdom Come and have chop suey. I don't care.
Yeah.
And that was, unfortunately, the attitude I had to take is like, I don't care. I care, but I don't care because I know you're going to do what you need to do for your project. And I completely respect that.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to get to, because now music has gone that far now. Like, it's not my sound, this is my sound, and my snare should only use. No, man, those days are over. Now it's like they want what they want. And you're just the information provider. They want a live feel, they want a human, because let's face it, robots are robots, and it takes humans to program the robot to sit there and quantize and sequence. And so when you mix those two worlds and you start to understand, okay, I'm mixing myself with AI, then they're going to take it and then they're going to massage it the way they like it. Then that's the ultimate drum take for them, for that particular tune. So then now, the only thing that I was hanging on to back then when I had an issue was my ego. They're effing with my feel, that was funky. Well, they don't need funky right now. They need it to be just straight and narrow and provide a service of groove for 3 minutes and 48 seconds. That's all they need. So when I started thinking those terms, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm a cement layer. I'm an electrician. I'm a plumber. I'm a hairstylist. I'll do perms and blowouts, and that's it.
Man, I love it. Well, brother, dude, I've taken up an hour and 15 minutes of your time.
That's it. I know. We just got started, bro.
I know, man. Okay, so
let's go another fitting, man. I got another fitting in me,
dude. Hey,
let's go.
No, I'm good. My wife's put the boys to bed. I'm good to go. I love it, man. Okay, so I wanted your real honest take, because you've been on some of the biggest tours that exist. How do you see the state of touring? Because I know you've spoken on studio. I mean, studio's not going anywhere because music's always going to be coming out. But we saw a year and a half, year and 3/4 of it just going away. Moving forward, I mean, I saw, like, for example, Abe Jr. is going back out with Paul. I am curious to see what that's going to actually look like. Because also, like, those, I mean, our mutual friend Taku, he was out with freaking Fleetwood Mac and all these other legends, older legends, still legends though.
Right.
And a lot of them are just not doing it anymore. They're like, you know what? I've had a good run. I'm done. So how do you see the future of touring?
I think it's still going to go. I mean, it's obviously going now. And I think it really depends on, God, this is a big question and it's a little question. I could answer it in 10 words or less, or have a guesstimate answer. I think it's going to go. I think it's going to keep going, but it's going to be dependent and reliant on rules and regulations, state to state, country, borders, and it's really going to depend on that based on this thing called the COVID virus.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, okay, it's at some point it'll just go away, and they'll find something else to concentrate on, and then we'll get into that, But I think it'll keep going, and it has to, right? It has to, because we need music and we need to be entertained, and we need that feeling of community. And two things: food and music. Always.
Yeah.
Where there's food, there's music. Where there's music, there's food.
Yeah.
If you don't have one of those two things, you only have, nothing really.
Yeah. I know for me, like, one of the things that I got so much out of over the last year and a half, specifically like in 2020 when all this stuff started, and they're like, oh yeah, sweet. So all these gigs you had, is I've caught myself watching more concert footage than I had ever done before. Like, dude, YouTube was such a freaking just wealth of it. Cause I could just go like Earth, Wind and Fire 78, or Toto 93, and then I could just watch.
Right.
And like, I realized how much I missed it. And I was never, cause I grew up broke, son. So like, I didn't get to go to concerts. Like, it wasn't, I couldn't afford that crap, And so when I got to see a concert, it was always such a special thing.
Oh, of course. It's an experience,
Right. And I didn't realize how much I missed it, it's just, I will say this though, and we've talked about this like often, it sucked seeing how much it seemed like musicians were just kind of cast aside. Like, this thing that we give so much of ourselves was just completely downplayed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yo, don't forget us. Like, war and all this other stuff. Like, remember that music that got you through that? The breakups, the music that got you through,
Right.
And that was a kind of a tough pill to swallow. I'm not going to lie. Seeing like, homies of mine just kind of lose. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had my fair share of rough times, but it's just that feeling that we all collectively had of just the appreciation not being there.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were stripped away of what makes our livelihood and our our own personal life
Yeah.
enhanced, and all that enhancement was taken away, and it becomes disheartening, and then you add the isolation aspect of it, of being in lockdown and not being able to see if that person's smiling at me or frowning at me.
Yeah.
So there, I mean, God, this is a whole other conversation, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. I see why all the podcasts you do have like a part 2 and part 3, man, because it always feeds itself to something else, man, which I love,
Right.
Okay. So, that being said, what's like your new motivation? Like what, because I mean, we talked about this, like you said you and your wife have done a lot of cooking at home, what's been one of the things that's away from music that's a new passion of yours? I mean, obviously skateboarding, but I'm sure like a lot of the parks were freaking closed. So like what kind of got you through? Like what's been your like, okay, I need some time away, I'm going to go do this.
God. Well, yeah, definitely cooking. I mean, I always left that up to my wife, Daniela, but I'm the barbecue breakfast guy.
Yeah.
But I ventured into baking.
Okay.
And I got into that a little bit. So now I'm baking stuff, but more importantly, I think because of the pandemic, I had to cook at home, or chose to cook at home, and I'm eating healthier than I ever had before. I'm sexy and slender now, and
Dude.
And exercising, and so it made my lifestyle healthier.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, like the one of the things you mentioned about like eating healthy, it's really hard to eat healthy on the road. Like, because you have access to I mean, even on the touring levels that I did, it's like at the minimum, you're getting spaghetti, you're getting freaking barbecue, you're getting something where you're like, okay, I better not. Okay, maybe I'll have a little bit more. On levels like that you're doing, it's like you're having like craft services and freaking this, and you're going out to restaurants. It's like I try to tell people like if you reach a certain level, touring is dope, but like it can also you come back way bigger than you meant to.
I mean, if you don't have self-discipline, you could lose your mind out there, as you know.
Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, food. When you're on the road, man, it's kind of like, okay, what are the rules for Kirkee B? What are your? My wife's not around. I'm not around any family members. I'm alone. I'm with my bandmates. Anything goes, right? You could go that way, or you could use it as a as a way of life to start discipline. Mm-hmm. And I've always tried to do that. Like, okay, my fat ass is out here on the road. I'm going to try to go down to the hotel gym and work some of this off.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sweating 2.5 hours every night, let me at least go to the gym, get on the bike, do some weights, drink plenty of water, and I'll admit it's hard because it's easy to walk down the street and like, oh, pizzeria, nice.
Sure, yeah.
Want to get a slice? Okay, let's get a slice. And you sit there getting a slice. Oh man, look at that ice cream place across the street. Want to get a scoop? Okay, we'll get a scoop. And then so you could fall into those traps. One tour I was on, man, I was like on a tequila thing.
Oh, okay.
I was hitting tequila every night. I was like, man, how come I don't feel good like today? Why don't I want to go to the gym or do anything until sound check? I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I was hitting that tequila.
See, I'm not a drinker, man, but like that was one of the things I loved the most about when I would tour is seeing like local spots, not a chain, because like chains are everywhere, but like Oh, dude, there was this mom and pop Italian place, and Mama came out and freaking the rolls, and there was like rosemary in them, and then you got the fresh grated like Parmigiano Reggiano, and you're like, I always loved that. It was the meeting people. It was just the local spots. You're like, oh man, it's the best snow cone I've ever had in my whole life, and you can only get it in Muskogee, Oklahoma, at this little spot. Like, I love that. I always
Yeah,
loved that.
yeah. And that's the whole thing, right? It's like when you're on the road, you want to experience everything:
Mm-hmm.
Museums, food, coffee, the people of the town. So.
Man.
But yeah, you could lose your mind. You could literally lose your mind, and I could see why some musicians do.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
because it's kind of your own rules out there. You can do what you want and how you want, and I've seen the best of them go down, and I've seen the best of them get even better.
yeah,
It's really a place of like testing your own willpower of how you live, period.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
a dear friend of mine, Mark St. Louis, he's a tour manager, and he says it best. He goes, "It's the other 22 hours of the day that really count when you're on tour. Checking into the hotel. Are you a good hang? Are you able to get along with 12 other people on a bus? Are you able to get along with 20 other people in the entourage? Are you the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And
Yeah.
if you don't have any of those things together and you're not a cool hang, more than likely you'll get booted off the gig.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be out there, and you want those other 22 hours to be as smooth as possible.
Well, and did somebody ever kind of like? Well, I mean, obviously, hanging out with Morris, like, you're going to learn to be a good hang, or else you're just not going to make it. But did any of your mentors out of high school ever share with you, like, hey, the hang is really important? And like, I never read about that in Modern Drummer. Like, they never talked about that.
Right.
That was almost like an unspoken thing, And I remember seeing the incredible Steve Ferroni at a clinic when he came through my hometown, and he's like, you know what? Everyone acts like we get paid to do these gigs, but really, we're getting paid for the 22 hours I'm not playing.
Right.
Just as much as the 2 hours I am.
Yeah.
And it really was like an eye-opening experience for me, because I never really thought of it like that before.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you are on tour. You're touring, and you are responsible for being on the bus on time, or you get oil spotted. They'll oil spot you, and you will be like, where did everyone go? And they're already in the next town. They're already at the next gig because your ass was late to getting on the bus on time, to bus call or hotel lobby call. And those are just one of many, many things that has to go down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, touring is, and it's not as glamorous as people think. It's hard work, man. Time zones, flying, trying to keep healthy so you don't get sick. There's nothing worse than being sick on the road, man.
Yeah. I got horrific food poisoning on the last touring gig I was on.
Oh, that's the worst. I'd rather be like sick with the flu or something than have food poisoning. Oh,
well, see, and the artists, I mean, and they were really cool about it, but they were like, they were convinced I had the flu, and I told them, I was like, dude, I had some bad chicken, like, I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and I held it as long as I could, and finally I got out of my bunk, and I was like, I made it to the restroom, and they flew me home the next day. I mean, so I got paid for the weekend. They were really cool about it. They were just like, we just don't want to take any chances. We got a sub to come out. They already had the sub out before the show was even finished. That's how quick they were on it, because I didn't even know.
Oh yeah.
I was like, dang, okay, because he saw me like as I was tearing down. I was like, oh, frick, what are you doing here? Here's a question I have for you.
Go.
Let's say you were to get the call right now to go on tour again. The normal old school LA, we're going to be gone 3 months. What would you, Curt Bisquera, have to do in order to get your mind and your body into shape to be ready to go out and do that gig?
I've been doing it for so long, it's just automatic. I know already what to pack. Like, I literally have it down to this size case that fits 2 weeks of clothes.
Wow.
And a backpack. Because if you think about it, for a man, is, you know, you have your suit, you bring your suit, and I'll have my suit bag, and I'll have my touring clothes, you know, which will be jeans or khakis or Dickies or whatever, things that can last a few days that are easy to wash. You go to
Sure.
laundromat or whatever. So all the years of touring, I just learned that, okay, I need a small suitcase that I could carry on, and a backpack, and I'm ready to rock. So that's all I would need is my clothes, my backpack, all my things, and then a passport, and I'm ready to go. And then it's about, okay, I got to adapt to the East Coast, or I got to adapt to Italy, or I got to adapt to going to Kuala Lumpur or something.
Well, and so to the second part of that, are you just that place now where you don't have to like get your hands back or something like that? You just kind of like, no, I know what I do. It's fine.
I always get teased by Tos Panos. He's always teasing me about, man, you never practice. And it's like, I don't. I just got to the point in my life, like I know how to execute what I need to execute. If it's like hefty reading or something like that, like if I get a call and go do like a Hans Zimmer session or whatever, and it's going to be like, that kind of stuff where it requires leading, a lot of reading and tempo changes and things like that. I'll bust out the Adler book. I'll bust out the all my PIT books from way back when, and look at phrases and look at notes and look, because it's like anything. If you don't do it enough, you lose it.
Yeah.
But because we're home now for the time being, I don't really practice much. I practice more bass and learning Studio One. That's what I spend my time on music.
Nice. Well, and actually, you said something just kind of in passing that I wanted to ask you about. When you're learning a new touring gig, like for example, like Elton, I mean, I'm sure as such a massive fan, you knew his songs. It was more like an arrangement.
They played themselves, yeah.
Right. But like, let's say you go out with an artist that you're not familiar with at all. Do you rely on charts, or do you use charts to learn it and then that's it? Do you commit it to memory, or is it that's just a chart gig?
Well, I think most or all of the touring I've done, they don't want to see charts up there. And luckily, there's been a month or two of rehearsal prior to the tour leaving town. So,
Gotcha.
I've toured a lot with a lot of French artists, 2 Italian artists. So talk about culture shock.
Sure.
The way they write pop music is completely different. The way the Italians write pop music and the way the French write pop music is entirely different from American pop. Plus, the language.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear the singer singing in French, it's like, what is he singing about?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's singing about the murder of his dog? It sounds so romantic.
Right. Yeah. I always wondered about that because I have friends that will play for artists that are completely saying another language. I have a homie of mine who plays for artists in Espanol. He doesn't speak Spanish. Right. He married a Latina, but like he doesn't speak it. I'm like, how do you tour for like 4 months through like Central and South America? He's like, well, somehow I manage.
Right. And there lies the magic of music and how it is an international, global thing. You could go anywhere in the world and play their music if you're a musician. And all it takes is being there with those local musicians and learning the phrasing of the music. I don't know what they're singing about. Although, I try to understand if I don't understand the language, I try to understand what they're singing about. So I could then emotionally play drums to
match it. Yeah.
Right. So I could portray what they're singing about, instead of just going, okay, So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's a trip, man. It's getting back to your question. Yeah. Just get a bag, backpack, and away we go. And then the journey begins. And it really is a journey, Again, there's 12, 20, 50, 75 people that make this one thing called a tour happen.
Yeah.
The lighting, the sound, the backstage guys, the backline guys, your drum tech. These people are just important, if not more important than you or the artist, because all we have to do is get up there, ta-da, put on, do the performance, do the dance and the spin, and then we're done. But they got to set it up, they got to tear it down, they got to make sure it's all working, and it's a big moving machine. And so you just have to God, I've been doing this over 30 years of touring, so it's learned to roll with the flow. And some artists are different. Some like super chill production, others like frantic production.
Well, and one of the things you talked about, as far as like the other people that make it go, and you talked about backline. Say on the because you toured with Seal too, correct? Or was it just the studio stuff?
Just the studio stuff, and then we did some live dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just brought him up as an example because I remember you telling the story about you going and playing like the drum cat thing, and that's how they're like, yeah, he's the guy. We'll just do that. I've always been fascinated, and I've never been on a gig that was so specific that they were like, you must play these specific sizes, this many toms, it's got to be this color. You probably have. So let's say you say in 2 months you're going out with some Italian artist and they're very specific. Walk me through, like, do you immediately hit up DW like, hey, they're saying I need to have a freaking bright pink kit. What's the lead time on this? Can Louis fit me in? Like, right. Can you walk me through that situation? Because I mean, also it's Angel. Is it still Angel City for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so like. Yeah, walk me through that. Like, okay, I know what gear I need, but here's how I need to have it like facilitated.
All right. So, for example, I toured with the great Johnny Hallyday from France. He was a huge staple of French rock and roll.
Yeah, he's like their Springsteen, right?
Yeah, he's their Springsteen. He just passed recently. God bless him. But man, he was huge. And our first gig was Parc des Princes, which is 110,000 seat stadium, completely sold out 4 nights. That's my first gig, bro. Talk about shitting bricks. Anyway, so I knew that I was going to be doing that gig, and I got big drums for that. 26, 15, 16, 18, 1 up, 2 down. I show up at rehearsal, and Johnny looks at me and goes, "Where's your drums?" I was like, "These are my drums. These are what I'm going to play. Rock and roll." And he's like, No. And he, because he didn't really speak English. And so he did that motion. Like,
he does the digga, 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 digga.
He wants a shit ton of drums. So luckily, I was able to use the small kit that I brought, even though it was a 26-inch kick drum, 15, 16, 18. Mm-hmm. I was able to use that, but I thought, okay, let me rock it up and go full bottom on him.
Yeah.
I had Peisty send me a gong. So I had like a big 40-inch gong behind me, which unfortunately I had to send back to Switzerland because the gong was reflecting light.
Oh no!
And it was messing with the light show because it was a big elaborate light show. So the gong was just like, freaking the lighting people out. And Lumiere, no, it's too much. So I had to send the gong back, which was a drag. But I thought, well, that's a rock and roll element that I could bring to without having to have the 8 through 18 toms, And he dug it, but it just didn't work for the production. But yeah, I mean, you'll run into artists that'll be like, I want kick, snare, and hat. That's all you're going to play. That's all I want to see. Mm-hmm. Or you're going to be behind a fishbowl, so you can play whatever you want. You can play as loud as you want. I'm really not going to hear you. So I mean, again, it just all varies with the artist and what they're wanting and needing.
Yeah.
So like if they want to look back and see a ginormous triple kick drum kit. You get a triple kick drum kit. And thank you, DW, for being able to provide me with all the things I've ever asked for and more, for those types of situations. They want this certain type of snare drum. Okay. I call Vega or Garrison. Dude, they want this kind of sound. What do you suggest? Get a 6.5 by 14 copper over brass. Oh, okay, cool. Chrome over brass.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends, and luckily we're with a drum company that's able to just know what to deliver.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've always been so fascinated by that because it's like there's obviously like Gad, man. Like I think the most spastic thing I've ever seen in the last 40 years of his setups is he maybe had one rack tom instead of two, but I mean like it's still the same cymbals for the most part. But like your setup was always so unique because like on the Sarah McLachlan thing, it was very much more like retro kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then with like Elton, you had the doom doom, and I've never been able to go comfortably between, like I'm sitting at my kit right now and like I set up like 3 toms a couple days ago just to be goofy. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, so how were you able to like, I guess, flip the switch to go like from a 15 rack, and the big bottom sizes to like, say like playing 8, 10, 12, whatever.
That's never been an issue for me because I going back to my childhood and my mom and dad carting me around and sitting in with older musicians, I always had to adapt to their drum kit in an instant.
Okay.
So like I could sit behind Terry Bozzio's kit over in Oxnard and just go, oh, okay, this is cool. And just start laying down a fat funk groove or just like start trying to be like him and doing ostinatos and like melodic things. But it's fun, that's the whole part of drumming is just like you adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the way we all set up our kit different. It's like, dude, this feels weird, but there's something really cool about that because it makes you play different.
Yeah.
Like when I sit behind a big kit, I play way different than I do like a meat and potato kit, like a 4-piece, I'm more like wanting to just play a groove on a 4-piece, or when I get behind the big kit, get my Neil Peart on.
Rest in peace, Neil.
Yeah. Man.
Did you ever get to meet him?
I have a funny story.
Yes.
God bless him, man. And I, you know what, man? I know he didn't mean ill by this. Maybe he was just having a bad day. So, I'm coming in to film a Drum Channel episode with Don Lombardi over at Drum Channel. And Don's like, oh, man, Neil's in there going through some drums, man. You should go in there and say hi. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I've never really formally met Neil, So I was like, oh, shit, man, the drummer from Rush, Neil Peart, So I opened the door and, I'm super polite. I don't like jumping in anyone's space. And I opened the door and he saw me and I looked at him and I was like, hey, Neil, it's Curt Bisquera, Kirkee B. And he goes, He just grunted at me. I was like, oh, shit. He doesn't want me here, man. And I just like shut the door really close. Well,
felt about this
like,
big.
And I was like, yo, Don, man, I don't think he's digging my vibe. So I was like, if he's ever there again, I'm not meeting him unless someone like
facilitates
somebody just says, Kirkee B, Neil Peart, Kirkee B, where it's an official meeting. Because there's no freaking way I was going to go to say, yo, man, Kirkee B from Santa Maria, what's up?
Yeah.
There's no way I was going to do that. Yeah. Bum rush a dude and say, yo, what's up, man? Dig the kid or whatever. But he was not having it. So anyway, that's my Neil Peart story.
Dude, I just envisioned like Thomas Slang coming in doing the Dominator thing.
The Terminator.
No, but it's funny because it's like literally I've only heard, and I love Neil, and like I know that him and John and him and Don Lombardi, like they're but I've only heard of one drummer experience where they met him and he was actually like open to talking.
Yeah.
And it was I want to say it was Taylor Hawkins.
Wow.
He I want to say that was a story where he basically Taylor played on a few tracks of this record, and if I'm misquoting, I'm really sorry, but I want to say it was Taylor. Sorry, it wasn't Taylor Hawkins, although rest in peace Taylor Hawkins. It was Jason Sutter.
Jason Sutter.
Yes,
Nice.
Who's a monster, but apparently like he played on 2 tracks, and anyways, Neil dug the fact that he had played on these tracks, and he was kind of like, he paid him a compliment because Neil was just that guy, you know. I can't pretend a stranger is a long lost friend. Like that's very, you know, that was him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was such a unique character, man.
Yeah, you know, as I got older, man, I realized like these cats need their space, and I'm not going to bug them, you know. And if they want to meet me, I'm honored. But I'll let you be, man. I know what it's like. It's like you just got off the stage, and you either want to be quiet or you want to rage or whatever. And I was like, you know what, man, you got to leave that space, you know. So after that whole Neil experience, I was like,
I don't want to film. I just want to go home.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Last question, and I'll let you go, brother. What is the most meaningful gig you've ever done?
Meaningful. Wow.
Like where you're just like, if I never play another note, what we just did here, that's it. I'm good.
Wow, man. There's been a lot of those. You know, Elton, Mick Jagger.
Sure.
I certainly miss playing with Morris. If that were to happen again, that would just not only bring me full circle, but
yeah,
my love and dedication to him and that music. But I mean, what I always say in any interview is playing Madison Square Garden with Elton John was by far like every kid drummer's dream of, oh, I'm going to practice Yellow Brick Road today, and I'm going to, you know, nail that tom part that Nigel did. So I was actually freaking doing that with him next to me, going, oh shit, that's freaking Nigel Olsson right there.
Yeah.
That's him, and I'm playing that song with him right now. And in front of me, below me, is Elton John playing Yellow Brick Road. How do you get beyond that? Like what other, I mean, you know, then it becomes bucket list stuff. Then it's like, okay, now Miles Davis, Jimi Hendrix, you know.
Unreal, brother.
But,
well, dude, Kirkee B, thank you freaking so much for
I know, man, I feel like
we
go
this
all night, but you know,
we've gone 2 hours, dude.
Has it been 2 hours?
It's been 2 hours, man.
Shit. No, wait, it'll be 2 hours at 7:30, right?
Well, yeah. So in 11 minutes, it'll have been 2 hours on the nose. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I know at certain point they just cut you off. They're like, I think they give you like a countdown. They're like, okay, you're done.
Oh shit, maybe they're watching.
They maybe, I don't know, but man, you know, this was so cool. And like I said, man, like I remember reading in old modern drummer issues, like seeing you like, oh, hey, this is Curt Bisquera, and this is the reason why I play Pisces or GW. You know, like I remember that commercial with you and Abe Jr. and I told you about that. Like I still watch that crap because I'm like that. You were like, oh, what happened? Like, and Abe just losing his mind in the corner laughing. It's so amazing. We talk about full circle moments, man. It's like I started playing at 12 years old, and by 14, you were in my life. Like I was seeing and hearing you play and going like, man, like this dude. I'm like, wait, he changes heads every show. Well, I can't do that. So, you know, it's so cool. And just, that's kind of how, life is sometimes. If you, I don't know, just sometimes avenues open up where you're able to just kind of like meet and connect with people. So like, it means so much to me that like now I can call you a friend and that you were able to do this, man. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah, likewise. You've inspired me, when we kind of connected, I was like, man, I need to start a thing like this, like what you're doing. Cause there's so many of these young cats that are just coming up that are blowing my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're not only just playing drums, like they're like killing bass players, keyboard players, singers. Like, they're the freaking Star Child kids that could do everything. It's like, but it blows my mind, because it's so inspiring, and I don't want to ever be that old grumpy Filipino dude. Like, I always want to be inspired, and so when I see these kids do this shit, man, it's just like, wow, this is so cool. I might have to hit up just on a cold thing, man. Just go, yo, want to do a 20-minute interview with me?
Yeah.
Don't say yes or no, but yeah, it's really cool, man.
Well, and it's just like, also it's just, how our circle of friends kind of like, like, oh, I know him and you know her. And it's just, it's crazy. And I will say this, man, like, I would love it if you did something like that, because I know for me and myself personally, I needed to see the humanity of like heroes of mine. Because I mean, as well as you did, like, Keltner. Now these guys and these girls, like, but for a long time they were just people in the liner notes, or they were people on your wall, or they were whatever. So it means so much to be able to see like the humanity of them, like, like, oh, Kirkee B's a dope drummer, but he also really likes to cook. He also really likes to skateboard. Like, I love being able to see and experience other facets of what makes these people that inspire me so much tick. Because it's like it was really easy to kind of lose a sense of your humanity and like yourself during this last couple years.
Yeah, and even just being a musician, the great Herbie Hancock said it best. He says, "I'm not just a keyboard player or a piano player. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a neighbor. I'm an uncle. I'm a friend.
Sure,
I'm a cousin. So when he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, when he said that, it just made me think like, God, man, we identify as drummers and musicians, but there's way more that makes us tick than just that,
Absolutely.
Like I've been watching like a lot of lowrider videos on Instagram, like checking out like these buffed out lowriders, because it's like my dream to own a 64 Super Sport lowrider. Growing up in Santa Maria, man, like all my Chicano friends and stuff, they had cool cars, and I always wanted one.
I never wanted a lowrider car. I wanted a lowrider bike.
Oh yeah.
Dude, there was this dude in my neighborhood, man. He always had his he was either grinding something down or welding something in his garage. And he had just, I mean, it looked like he had the ape hangers, but on like a freaking.
Oh, that must have been cool.
Oh, it was so slick, dude. And like, cause I grew up in a mostly Black and Hispanic school, like white folks were the minority. So like, I saw that, I was like, that is dope. And of course, me being biracial, like we don't have our own culture. There's no flag for us. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. I've always been like, well, I'll take a little bit of the California surfer slang. I dig that. The little bit of the Chicano thing with, I grew up around Native Americans. So I I know about powwow culture, oddly enough. You know what I mean? It's like, so I always, dude, yeah. I always dug that. Like because like there's so much that makes us unique, and like we should celebrate that, Yeah. But yeah, dude, I always wanted a freaking lowrider bike. And of course, now I live in the country and there's no freaking sidewalk anywhere. So it'd be useless, but
you could build a lowrider dirt bike.
Yeah, there we go. Well, Kirkee B, dude, thank you so much for doing this, brother. We'll have to do this again sometime.
All right. Well, listen, man. Not that I don't want to hang up, but shit, we got 5 more minutes. Let's just go another 5. Let's go another 5, and we'll call it 2 hours, and we're done.
We'll do it. We'll do it. Well, okay. Well, so what other stuff have you been getting into lately? let's say like music wise, like what's been just like blowing your mind?
You really want to know?
Yes.
BTS. I love
Really?
those dudes.
Really? Oh man. Okay,
I love BTS.
So you know
why?
Why?
Because whoever they got writing and producing this shit, they turn the key, they turn the lock to very exciting pop music.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
yeah.
sounds are phenomenal. Like go and YouTube any of their hits instrumental. That shit is bumping, man. The sounds are incredible. I don't know what they're using but it just feels good. It feels good.
You know, I was just watching, rewatching a thing. I want to say it's on Netflix. It's all about the phenomenon of the idols in Asia.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, the J-pop, the C-pop, the K-pop, like that. Because people don't understand, like, we have American Idol. It's like, no. These people, some of them are on the BTS level, but a lot of them only have maybe like 100 to 200 fans. But these fans are so hardcore.
They're hardcore, man.
They'll buy 50 records each. Like every time.
In a drop. Just boom, done.
Oh, yeah. And so it's fascinating to me, but because like at this church my wife and I used to go to, the children's minister and then like the worship pastor, dude, they flew to LA to go see BTS. I want to say at the Forum.
No, it was at SoFi.
Okay. And I was like, wait. Because when I first saw him, I was like, wait, like pink hair, blue hair, like. But then again, like that's that look. But they're like, oh my God, isn't J-Hope the dreamiest or what? And I'm like, right. Which one is he? Because there's like 7 guys, you know.
Yeah, but what I dig about it is like, okay, so they don't, as far as I can tell, they don't use live drums.
Oh, okay.
In terms of their recordings, but I know they do have a drummer who I hit up on Instagram. I was like, dude, I got to interview you because I find fascinating because I've seen him on a Tiny Desk video that they did, and he was playing drums. It sounded incredible. But I dig music where there's no drums only because it gives me a different perspective of music. Mm-hmm. And it makes me appreciate music on an entirely different level, not just from a drummer standpoint or a musician standpoint. Like with BTS, like I'm a freaking fan. Like these dudes could dance their ass off, sing their ass off. Their production people behind them, they know how to make this machine churn, man.
Yeah.
It seems like they're constantly making videos, but it's constantly happening and they're reinventing in the moment. So they figured out that magical combination. And I think that's why I'm so attracted to watching and listening to these guys, because they keep the level at 10 all the time.
Yeah.
And they could be doing a video of them burping or laughing or goofing around, playing Frisbee, and it's at that level.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, that's like deep, man. That's like, that's like, I don't know, who's your favorite basketball guy? That'd be like watching LeBron James or something just all the time, and it's always LeBron at that level, and he's always dunking, he's always winning, and it's, like that.
Did you read that they're actually having to go serve in the army?
Yeah, that's
dude,
a prerequisite for the.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Korea did that. I know Israel does that, and I want to say like wherever the Skarsgårds are from, they had to do that too. But yeah, like that's wild, man. So like you talk about like building up a freaking like a hunger for their fans again. Holy crap! A year and a half of no touring. Wow.
Right. Exactly.
Dude,
and I wonder how they're going to do that. Like, are they going to all like disband and go into the army and serve the army for 2 years together, and then come back and be like in soldier outfits?
They're all going to be cut as crap. I'll tell you that right now.
Dude, I know, right?
But also it's really interesting because it's like they somehow were able to tap back into the phenomenon of like the like, I mean, obviously like the Jackson 5 and like you had the Temptations before them. And then you had like New Kids. And then you had, crap.
98 Degrees and
No. With Bobby Brown.
New Edition.
New Edition. And then of course that led to, the other bands. It's like, I thought that was over and done. One Direction came out and I was like, okay, cool. I can dig it. And then BTS, I had never even heard of them before.
I don't, me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level. Okay, so when we get off, I'm gonna have to send you a link because I just got done watching a video of the 8th member of BTS. He was supposed to be in the band, and he left right in the middle of right before they were about to be huge.
I think I saw that video.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and he's like, yeah, I'm happy. I miss hanging out with my friends, and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of like being Pete Best, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say that's the Pete Best move right there.
Ugh.
Yeah, I could have played on the Ed Sullivan Show, but that's brutal. But
that's a freaking rough one.
I mean, I get clowned a lot for liking BTS, but you know what, man? They could dance, they could sing. The machine behind it is, and I think that's what's more. That's like what's really intriguing to me is that machine behind them, man. It's just it's like a well-oiled machine, and they keep the level of those guys super high, and it's incredible.
Well, and you also know better than most about like what it takes to make that machine keep going.
Yeah, 24/7 staff that's constantly thinking, okay, tomorrow we're going to dye your hair red, you're going to wear a black suit, and you're going to dance like Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you got tomorrow at 10 a.m. You're going to show up at the dance studio, and we got a Fred Astaire dance alike, and he's going to show you all the moves. You're going to learn a couple moves, so it's like, it reminds you of like old Hollywood, like, reading about Judy Garland, when she was,
yes. Oh man, they put her through the ringer.
Like, okay, you're going to take these pills so you're energetic. You're going to take these pills so you could sleep.
Yeah.
But they're not that way. They're like, okay, you're gonna go with this vocal coach so you can sing this note. All right, you're gonna be at this dance coach so you can dance like him.
Yeah.
I really just have a high respect for that.
Yeah. Once BTS's career decides to, kind of either organically or inorganically, once it ends, I would really love to watch like a documentary about like what was really going on. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, there's gonna be one, man.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the one that Lance Bass did about Lou Pearlman, and
yeah,
bro, dude,
that was heartbreaking.
He had those poor boys dancing in a cargo, like a shipping container, no AC in Orlando heat for hours and hours, dude. You make them do that for like 8 hours a day. You put them in an arena with air conditioning. Like they're good to go. It's kind of like, those freaking
it's slave labor, man.
Well, it's like, dude, like a Kenyan who is running barefoot. You give that dude sneakers, he's gonna smoke you.
Oh, easy.
That Dominican kid who's catching baseballs with a hollowed out milk jug and a freaking stick ball. You give him a real bat and cleats, he's gonna smoke you.
Yeah, that is so true, bro. That is so true. That is so true, man. Have you seen that video of that one kid? I forgot what country he's from, but he's playing on milk cartons and buckets.
Yes.
With like a wooden Picaro rack.
Yes.
And like rounded out pie tins or something for cymbals. And he's killing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking, get him a PDP kit. He'll destroy us all.
Man, and that's the thing, though, that YouTube has given us is that you get to see the dedication that these men and women have to their craft regardless. I watched this one incredible video of this kid. I want to say he was from an African country. He was doing ballet in the rain. Wow. And it was just a cell phone video. It was grainy. It looked like it was filmed with a potato. But this kid had such grace, and I want to say he ended up getting a full scholarship. It might have been to Juilliard.
Wow.
But I mean, he's like 13, dude. And being a male ballet dancer is already a tough go. I can only imagine in his small village in Africa, like the resolve that kid must have had to be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and you guys can shove it,
Right.
And somebody posted it, and there you go. I love that. That's one of the things I do love the internet about is I can see this stuff and go like, wow.
And that's I think we could attribute that to musicians as well. It's like we chose this occupation that let's face it, like we were talking about earlier, it's random. You get that random call in an instant, and your life changes in that instant. And a lot of people have issue with that because it's not regimented. It's not a schedule. It's not. So, we have to endure a lot. I remember my mom, who was a musician, she couldn't understand, like, really? You have to get on a plane tonight to fly to Paris tonight? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude. I mean, oh God. All right. It's 7:36. We've been at this 2 hours, 6 minutes.
It's 9:36 here, dude. You're behind. I'm in the future.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, shit. You want to just go to even 10? I don't care. I'm here, bro. That's what I'm thinking about this. It's like I
love this. This is so great. This is so cool. Okay, so
we'll go until they stop us.
We'll do that.
10, cool.
Let it ride.
Cut it at 10.
Okay, so I always was curious because I know that you had the recording customs, like that was the kit back in the day.
Back in the day,
how did you get with DW?
Through Chad Wackerman.
Okay.
Through Chad Wackerman and Jim Keltner.
Okay. So Jim is from he's from my hometown in Tulsa as well.
Jimmy Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's from Tulsa.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually I was on tour with Belinda Carlisle and I was playing Remo drums at the time.
Oh, okay.
And the background singer Naomi Starr, God bless her, we lost her a few years ago, was married to Chad Wackerman.
Oh, okay.
And Chad, has been a DW guy forever. And he's like, man, we really got to get you off of those cardboard drums and get you playing some really nice drums. I'm like, man, really? You'd introduce me to those guys? And he's like, yeah, man. And so I think we drove out there together. He took me out there and introduced me to John. And this is when they were here right down the street in Newberry Park. And I met John and Don, and the rest is history.
So, well, when you were playing the Remo stuff, did you have like a deal with them, or you just got the kit?
That was my first like pro drum kit endorsement. So I had cymbals first, and so I was endorsed by Zildjian first, and then that was the only real thing I was endorsing at the time. And then Remo, then I hooked up with Remo and started endorsing heads and drums. And here's an industry secret. All of the Mick Jagger record I did, that was recorded on a Remo piccolo snare drum.
People sleep on those. Those are great snares, man.
Yeah, Rick Rubin is all about that. He's like, I like that snare drum. That's the one. So that's so cool. Yeah.
Well, there wasn't many guys flying the Remo drums flag. Like there was. So I guess it would have been you. It would have been Ricky Lawson, the late great Ricky Lawson. I guess Louis Belson and maybe Jeff Hamilton. Yeah.
But I didn't rock them that long because they just came out, and I maybe played them for that year. I was touring with Belinda in 1990, and then right after that, I was playing DW 91, and that was Mick Jagger.
Wow.
So yeah, I only played them a year, I think, or maybe 2 years, from 89 to 90.
So was that around the time you first met Abe Jr., or were you guys buddies for a minute?
I met Abe Jr. on a session that I was doing with his dad.
Ah, okay, okay.
I was on the session with his dad at Can-Am Studios in Hollywood. And there's this guy who's peeping through the window with dreadlocks.
Oh, wow. This is really young Abe then.
Who's a taller, bigger version of his dad, but lighter skin. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I said,
I'm so glad you said that because it's true.
I said,
They look
Abraham.
yeah.
Because I didn't know Abe Jr. at the time. I was like, Abraham. And he goes, that is my son, Junior. And he calls him in. So dig this story, man. You'll dig this. So it was a session where Abe and I had to record 25 songs in a day.
Dang.
Real simple songs. You know, they're all charted out, ready to go. Pretty simple. And Junior was at the window, like peeping in. I'm like, dude, come in. I've been hearing some great things about you. I want to meet you. And so his dad introduced us, and we hit it off immediately. And I'm like, dude, do you want to play on a few of these songs? He's like, no, really? I'm like, yeah, man. It's like, I don't know if I could play 25 songs in a day.
Yeah.
So he like played on 5.
Wow.
And that's how we met. I just like, yeah, dude. Because, you know, that's the way Jeff was. Jeff Vaccaro was that way. He was like, hey, man, if I see you and I'm holding up my sticks, this was at the Baked Potato. If I see you and I make eye contact with you, will you come up and play? Because he would have issues with his hands. So I always made sure I hid behind the door. There's no freaking way I was going to go up there and play. And thank God I never did. But yeah, man. So I did that with Abe. I was like, dude, come play, man. And so that's how Abe and I met, was on a session that he was not on. He was just hanging to go visit his dad. And then I got him on the session.
That's so cool, man. So, I mean, who are the guys that I guess, I mean, so I kind of lump you and Abe in the same kind of generation, but then like you have the, I mean, like Josh Freese, I kind of lump him in with you as well, but he was just in a whole nother world.
Well, he was younger. He was the little kid that everyone was raving about at the time. Because when I signed on with Zildjian, he'd already had his Zildjian thing too. And I have a picture I'll send you of us at a Zildjian party. And there's this little kid with a shag haircut, little blonde kid. And then there's me and a bunch of other cats, you know. And Josh just was. I remember he was into Vinnie Colaiuta, and he was like a miniature Vinnie. Like he knew all of his licks and could play everything. And then Josh became his own man and just skyrocketed to where he is now and beyond. Like he did his own path, man. And the guy, I mean, if there's anything I am so envious of and wish I had that he has, is playing with Devo. And I told Josh, I was like, dude, if 2 Goomba guys come up at you at a show and break your leg, I don't know about it. And if you see me playing your gig, you know, because I don't know about it.
Kurt sends his regards.
Kurt sends his regards. But yeah, I was like, dude, that is so amazing that he's playing with Devo. You know, that was like my favorite band in high school. I have a picture of me in a yellow Devo jumpsuit in high school.
Did you have the hat?
Yes, I had the paramecium hat, the flower pot hat. I had it, dude. I had it all, man. I was the biggest Devo fan forever.
Well, okay. I mean, with as many artists as you played for, who of all the artists would you say you were the biggest fan of going in?
Well, of course, Morris and
right.
You know, the whole Minneapolis scene. I was already like really deeply into that sound and scene. But you know, I was into Van Halen. I listened to all kinds of stuff. You know, growing up in Santa Maria, growing up around Cholos, Aggies, jocks,
sure,
weirdos, theater kids, you know, mentally gifted kids that are like brainiacs that are like, you know, college level at, you know, freshmen in high school, you know, like, you know, so I grew up around all these influences and all these styles of music. Plus my mom worked at what used to be the Columbia record pressing plant in my hometown.
Oh, sick.
So I had access every third Sunday. They would have a record sale, and for a quarter you could buy 5 records. So dude, when I was 11 years old, I was already listening to like Herbie Mann and Paul Revere and the Raiders, Zeppelin,
Sure.
James Brown, you know, God, who were the rock? You know, the Beatles,
Of course, yeah.
Stones. You know, so I was into it all. Miles Davis. You know, so I had privy to all that music at an early age. Plus, hanging around all my weird friends.
Well, I mean, you know, it's weird. It's like the older I get, I still get nerves and stuff, but it's like I love people and I love meeting people. There aren't too many people that I genuinely get like really nervous around. One was when I got to meet Steve Jordan. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at the Brady booth and session monster, you know, former Toto drummer Shannon Forrest was there, and I was just checking out this little 12-inch snare. It was like the Steve Jordan, the 7x12, and over walks, you know, Steve out of this fog, and he's got, you know, the shades on. It's inside at the NAMM show, and he's freaking got the leather jacket. And he just kind of walks up, and I'm just like, I just put the sticks down, and I just kind of slowly backed away, like, you know. How did you deal with being able to not just meet but perform with like icons, like your Eltons, your Mick Jaggers? I mean, like your Tina Turner. I love your Tina Turner story. Like, how did you? I know inside you probably must have been going, ah! Like, how did you hold it together?
First of all, let's get that out of the way. Every amazing artist that I've ever played with, I've fanboyed out big time. Like, the outside me is like, all right, yeah, pleasure meeting you. Inside, I'm like, oh my God! Oh my God! So, but you know, you got to be professional.
Right.
But inside, I'm screaming like a little schoolgirl. Just like, oh my God! You know, come on, man. I mean, these are the people that influence you. So how can you not scream? You know, how could I not scream inside with my inside voice? You know.
So I mean, you don't have to tell it, but I know I've listened to you discuss the Mick Jagger audition several times, and I've actually used your idea in auditions for myself, where I took like, you know, because like usually in auditions, you know, maybe like 3 songs, maybe 4, maybe 5 or 6. But I've done that a few times where I'll pull out a song that wasn't on the thing, but I know that they like dig, and I'll be like, "We want to play this one." It's never quite done the same where I'm like, "All right, cool, you're hired," you know, kind of thing. But yeah, I freaking love that story, and I love the fact that you were able to kind of just, you know, be able to distinguish yourself a little bit, like differentiate yourself from the pack.
Well, I mean, because it's Hollywood, you know, and there's, you know, and I always use that terminology, Hollywood, because there's actors and actresses, and they all have their own talents, and they all have their own way of how they deliver the line, and you know, that whole thing. Hollywood,
Sure.
Right? Actors, acting. With musicians out here in LA, that kind of has to take precedent as well too, because what you're offering is you, right? Mm-hmm. Your personality, your style of playing, your approach toward the music, your essence, what you add, what you subtract from who the artist is. Mm-hmm. You know, so with Mick Jagger, knowing that he was a James Brown fan, it was a no-brainer for me to go, I'm not going to play Paint It Black or Brown Sugar or Gimme Shelter. I'm going to play freaking Cold Sweat by James Brown.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's why I got the gig, you know, because I just got him so excited that I didn't audition on the same songs all the rest of the drummers are auditioning on. I pulled up James Brown, man, and he got happy.
Yeah.
He was in his happy zone.
And going in that direction, do cattle calls happen in LA? Because they don't happen in Nashville anymore.
From what I understand, I think they still do. They're, you know, it's definitely word of mouth.
Yeah,
find out about it, and they'll go down and audition. So yeah, I think so. I think though it's a little more curtailed to, hey, so and so recommending me, so therefore that's why I'm here.
Right,
So
right.
based on a recommendation basis, and maybe there's 10 or 20 drummers that show up, or guitar players, or any given necessity, background singers or whatever. So yeah, I think there is cattle call going on, but it's much different now. Now you have to play a very specific part. If you're like, for example, when I met my wife, we met on a Paula Abdul audition. She didn't get it solely because she was too tall. It wasn't like she couldn't sing.
That's so lame.
She sings her ass off, but it is.
Yeah.
She's too tall. Because the first thing they said was, "Are you really going to wear those heels?" My wife's from New York. She's like, "Of course I'm going to wear my heels."
Well, okay, so that raises a really good question, and I want to ask you this. Have you ever found, and you would have been breaking a lot of ground playing in a predominantly black act, you not being white or black, you being Asian, has that ever been kind of like, I don't want to say viewed as like a gimmick, but you know what I mean? Because like people can always take it however they're going to freaking take it. Have you ever had any issues being able to gel being Asian versus being like something a little bit more like what they would, I guess, imagine?
Here's how I understand it. Here's how I understand it. And I've been told by both Filipinos and all my African American friends. Mm-hmm. My African American friends, those brothers say, the Filipinos are the brothers of the Pacific. Y'all's funky. So there's that, right? Of all the Asian cultures, Filipinos are the funkiest. I feel that they have the best time feel. Like if you heard my mom play B3, you'd be like, damn. That's Jimmy Smith.
Did she do the feet?
Dude, she played pedals and everything, yeah. Mom's is no joke, man. God bless her. She was no joke. So, coming up during that time, and being, there was another Asian drummer. He was Japanese, Takashi Numazawa. He went to PIT before me, 1 year before me, and then he ended up being an instructor at PIT.
Nice.
And so there was him, and I think he was already playing with Shaka Khan or whatever. And then there was me. So there weren't a whole lot of Asian drummers in the game, man. I think Richie Aguan, who was playing with the Whispers at the time, he's Asian. Okay. I think he's from Guam anyway, I could count all the Asian drummers on one hand.
Sure. Yeah. Percussion too. It's like, I knew Taku. I knew Nippy Noya, old school.
Yeah, old school. Yeah. Taku came in, later in the 90s. When I started, it was in the 80s. Taku came in the early 90s. Yeah. So yeah, there's not many of us, but yeah, it was weird in the terms of the fact that I was one of a handful of drummers or musicians for that matter. There's my cousin Leon, who plays keyboards, who played with Randy Crawford and various other artists as well, So very few of us again. But I always felt it as a badge of honor. It was like, oh man, we could hang. I could hang with Mick Jagger. I could hang with Morris Day. I could hang with Elton. I could hang with Shalimar. I could hang with Pebbles. Because I think culturally, Filipinos, we love rock music. We love guitar. We love funk. We love rhythmic stuff. Our national dance. I'm not from there. I was born here in the States, like my parents. Mm-hmm. But we have a thing called the Tinikling dance with 2 sticks. Mm-hmm. Look it up on YouTube. It's funky. It's a funky dance.
Nice.
And so we have that. So in terms of answering your question, yeah, I always felt it as an honor to be Filipino and being able to do what I do, and being able to be one of the very few to represent the Asian culture in such a high level, to be able to have played with all these great artists and being Filipino, being Asian, and being able to to represent that. You know, that I've always carried that badge of honor. You know, and I've always been humbled by it. Always been, you know, my dad was always really big on like, you know, don't get too big on your britches, man. You know, really be thankful for your gift. You know, don't take it for granted. So I've always been really grounded in that sense, and really honored to be a Filipino and do what I do.
Man,
It's pretty
dude,
cool.
that's beautiful, man. I love that. Dude, we're gonna have to call it because
Yeah.
I have got to pee so badly.
I love it. Come on, man. Don't see, that's bus rule
I know.
17, man. Pee
I know
the
you
bus.
pee before you do this.
Yeah, no. Listen, man, we've been at this 2.5 hours. So this is good.
Man, but the thing that is so fun. This is the first time we've really gotten to do anything like this, and it feels like we've been buddies for a while. Like, I love this. This has been so cool, and like I'm like, some of your stories, like I'm listening, but inside I'm going like, dude, that's Curt Bisquera. Like, you know, I mean, it's just seriously like you really meant a lot to me. You still do, and it's a beautiful thing how life has just kind of been able to bring heroes and mentors of mine, whether they knew it or not, into, you know, my sphere. Absolutely. And to be able to like interact, like it's just you know, it's such a blessing, you know.
Yeah. Well,
but,
likewise, man, and I love meeting new musicians that are coming up, and it's just, you know, that's what keeps my fire lit. You know, I don't want to, like I said earlier, I don't want to be that old crotchety dude that back in the day, you know.
We had 2-inch tape.
You know, I don't want to be that dude. I want to be the guy that's like, you know, freaking 90 and still relevant and rocking it.
Dude.
But hey, man, quick plug.
Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram, Curt Bisq, CurtBisq. Same on Twitter. Follow me. Go to my website, curtbisquera.com. Buy Yurt Rock, buy my loops, yurtrock.com. Go to that. What else? Yeah, man. West Coast pedals. Buy my grease juicer pedal.
There you go. There you go.
Filter.
Dude, I'll once this goes off, I'll do my best to upload it. Hopefully they can take a 2-hour live and upload it, but I'll tag all your stuff so everyone can follow you, brother.
Right, man. Zuckerberg's going to look at it and go, man, these dudes are talking for 2.5 hours. I'm only going to put up 2 minutes.
Yeah. Delete.
Yeah, delete. They're just drummers talking about drummer things anyway.
We're the most unthreatening bunch anyways, because we're just like, oh, pedals and sticks.
I know.
Neat.
Yeah, we're the bottom of the barrel monkeys. Ooga booga, play drum.
Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to ask, the Flintstones movie. How the frick?
I was waiting
how
for
did
that
happen?
question.
Yes. Yeah, you said Ooga Booga. I was like, BC-52s, let's go.
All right, so okay, last answered question of the night, because I know you got to pee.
Yeah.
I was playing with was at the time. Don was producing B-52s, and Don was like, "Hey man, do you want to be in a movie at the B-52s playing drums?" I'm like, "F yeah, hell yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
So the call time was 7 a.m. Show up at the studio. I show up at Universal Studios, and they're like, "Okay, this is for the Flintstones movie," and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Okay, Curt Bisquera, you're the drummer. Okay, go to the fitting room at Hall B, and we're gonna get you outfitted." So I go to the makeup place, the makeup trailer, and they're outfitting me for that outfit that I was wearing.
Yeah.
So the whole day they're outfitting me for that, and they're like, "Okay, tomorrow's call time is 6 a.m. We're doing this segment where you're playing with the BC-52s and you're the drummer." I show up on set, and there's that drum kit that's posted on your wall and on my wall, which looks like a stone drum kit with 2 femur bones as drumsticks. And so they're like, "Okay, just, the director's like, okay, just pretend you're standing up and playing drums at this BC-52 song." And so, and they're like, "Okay, act like a caveman while you're playing it, though. You're not like a modern drummer. You're an actual caveman."
Yeah.
When you're watching me, I'm just kind of going like that, which is apropos to the times. And so we did that all day, and the next day I woke up with the flu. A lot of people did, actually.
Oh,
because it
did
was
you?
hot
Did
as hell outside. It was filmed during the summertime, and inside they keep those studios cool,
super cold? Yeah,
like super
yeah.
cold, dude. And I remember walking out like at 2 a.m. It was still like 80 degrees or whatever. And then like, yeah, I remember like my friend Jamie Mahobrak, the keyboard player in that video, he caught the flu, and a bunch of other people on the crew caught the flu, and yeah, it was awful, but it was fun.
Did you ever get to meet any of the cast, like John Goodman or anything like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I got to meet them and shake their hand and told
Man.
people, you know, Elizabeth Perkins and
Sure, yeah.
Rick.
Dude, that movie still holds up. That movie still is awesome.
Oh man, my sister-in-law had a daycare, and all her daycare kids, there's Uncle Curt. You know, even though I'm not related to them, they know me as Uncle
Sure.
Curt, because she would always play that video to keep them occupied. So
Yeah.
all those kids she raised, you know, they all know me as the drummer on the Flintstones.
That's
That's like
that's
really
so
giving
cool.
the age away, bro.
Yeah. Did they let you keep those femur bones?
Yes, they're in my garage somewhere.
Oh, dude, you got to post a picture of that. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I do, man. Hey, I gotta find those.
Oh, I love it. All right, brother. I'll talk to you later, man. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too, dude. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me, and let's do it again, man. Anytime.
Absolutely. Anytime, brother.
All right, homie.
There's a reason why Kirkee B has played for literally everybody on the scene. He's the nicest guy. He's got an insane pocket and a really great work ethic. There's not much more that can be said about this dude. Kirkee B is he's the man. This has been, and I've been thinking.